And
So
that's what I worry about with him, though. He looks like he has no confidence. Calvin Pickard missed the game. Calvin Pickard is out for game 4 as well. Calvin Pickard famously, late in regulation in game 2, was injured, didn't take a whistle. Vegas scores, goes into overtime. Pickard plays great in overtime, but he's hurt. He can't go on Saturday. He can't go tonight. So you have Stuart Skinner, the playoff, we'll say, I won't say hero because they didn't win the Stanley Cup, but like playoff star of last year who had a bad regular season. What are you fucking doing?
Well, he was the playoff something. Like, I don't know if I would
No,
say
he was a star in the playoffs.
I mean,
Stuart Skinner?
Yeah.
What are you talking
Every
about?
series
he was
we talked about in the
the
first
star?
half of the
No,
series.
no,
that he
no,
wasn't
no,
very
no,
good.
no, no, no. He was a playoff star.
I
He
mean,
was a
I
playoff
guess. Yeah.
roller coaster.
He was the second best goalie in the playoffs after he returned.
He also got sat down at a point.
Right.
I think
And
roller
so,
coaster is
first
I
half-
like,
But he was no.
he's a star.
Kept
He
talking
was
about it.
absolutely a star in last postseason.
I mean, yeah. I think I would agree. He's not like the most convincing star of all time,
But it's also very. I think that it's recency bias to hear that Stu Skinner was ever good and then push back on it. So I understand where Pete's coming from, but he was very good.
He was a bit of a journey.
I'm saying from when he came back last postseason, he wasn't a journey. He was very good.
We kept talking about at the beginning of the series that he was getting outplayed, and then he would get stronger as the series went along.
You can get outplayed and still be good. He was good in the postseason after he came back.
We don't have to rehash it, but I'm just saying, like, he wasn't like a bona fide star.
I didn't say bona fide star. I said a playoff star.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a way to lose an argument. It's called the straw man fallacy. Anyway, Skinner, .833 save percentage in his first game back. We can agree. I thought he was very shaky, and bad in this game. Now, were it not for the last play, he was getting out of that game, or he was going to overtime with an .870 save percentage, which is good enough. Is it like that? An .870 save percentage in an Oilers game is like a guaranteed win almost. The Oilers have won 4 games this postseason in which they've had sub .885 goaltending. They've won 2 games in which they've had .860 goaltending. So the point is they can win games with bad goaltending. What I feel bad about is that Calvin Pickard was getting better. Like Calvin Pickard, I thought was good in game. Oh, he was good in game 1. I thought he was getting very good in game 2. If he's available for this game, they probably win. They take a 2-0 lead in this game, which they then blow. And the first goal looked like Skinner had not played goalie in 5 months versus 2.5 weeks or whatever. And there goes the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think just removing any numbers from it, like you watch Calvin Pickard and you're like, okay, they have a stable goaltender. They have some stability. Like you can expect the saves that most of the time, you can expect the save that should be made to be saved. And I really do think that's all the Oilers need when they're playing at least halfway decent in front of the goaltender. Just make the saves that won't deflate your team. And unfortunately, a few times in the Stu Skinner start, you got a couple ones that like you just kind of deflate you on the couch. Namely, was it the first one?
It was the first one. They shot high.
Yeah.
And he contorted himself really weird. He looked so uncomfortable. And we've said a million times, no player in the league, it's more apparent when they don't have it. And you wish that if it were baseball, you'd get someone up in the pen in the first inning, and you'd say it's dramatic, but we're getting somebody up in the pen. Can't really do that in hockey. Definitely can't do it when your backup is not dressing.
You made a good comparison, which was that like he reminds you of Tim Thomas, but like without the faith that like Tim Thomas is going to make the save. Like everybody can acknowledge that when Tim Thomas was on the Bruins and at his peak, he would do some crazy shit. And you'd be like, no, what the fuck are you doing? And then he makes the save and you're like, oh my God, holy shit. Stu is that guy, but then he doesn't make the save. And that it's an adventure, man. And it takes a lot out of you.
So what do you think Skinner plays in game 4? What do you think he actually needs to do? Like, what is the mark that the Oilers need from their goaltending?
I don't
because
think there's
it's not
a number.
like we uncovered last week. It's definitely not 900. It's not even 890.
I don't know if there's a number to it. I just think that like it has to be less than a few deflating goals. Like that's it. That's it in my mind is you don't let up the goal that makes the rest of the team go, oh, brother, now what?
But
like you could see
Pickard
it on
does
some of
that
these
too,
guys'
though.
faces. You could see it on McDavid's face. I think it was after, I don't know after which goal.
I think
but
it was
like,
after the first one.
they cut to McDavid and he has that look on his face. He's like, we have to deal with this shit again.
Yes, and I understand that because, again, Skinner was not good in this game. But they win games when their goalie isn't good. And I saw something on Oilers Nation. They did like a big mailbag on the Oilers play different in front of Pickard than they do in front of Skinner. And it's unequivocally yes.
I feel like they play good in front of bad goaltending if that bad goaltending is Calvin Pickard. Like
right.
It's not a universal.
Because I think you can wrap your head around shot 5 holes an automatic goal. That's simple. It doesn't make you happy, but they're like, we can get our heads around that. So we can't have anybody shoot on this guy. And I don't understand where that is with Stu.
I feel like it's like when you have 2 dogs. You have a purebred and you have like a street dog. And when the street dog shits in the house, you're like, yeah, street dog's supposed to shit in the house. But our starting goalie is not supposed to shit in the house.
Yeah.
And so you get pissed off when the starting goalie shits in the house.
I honestly think that like the 5-hole element is like it at least has the appearance of a shooter beating the goalie.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of these Stu goals has the appearance of the goalie beating the goalie.
Yes. Right. Where you say, why is his body like that? Why is he
in the face-off dot?
Right. Why did... It's frustrating.
And I said this to you is like, people are, and you got upset over the weekend because you felt like too much blame was being assigned to Stu for that loss. Is that fair to say?
Yes. However, I'll defend people.
Apologist.
Right. No, but I will defend. If people just said Pickard starts that game, they probably win. I agree with you. I think that he's riding momentum, and if he's healthy, I'm saying. However, I get mad, and I do this with every goalie, when things are just reduced to the goaltender. In Oilers fans' defense, Skinner this season has actually been bad is mean, but like Skinner has not been a good goalie this year. So if you hate that Stu is your starter, that's fine. It's the oversimplification that frustrates me.
I get that. I think that you spend too much energy trying to defend, or at least like correct the narrative.
Pointless.
Yeah,
there's no winning.
And he was bad, and they lost a game in which like you can argue that he was the difference, and that's not. Again, we've gone over like there was a litany of breakdowns on that final play. It's stupid to assign it all to Stu, but a good portion of that does belong on his plate, and I do think that the aesthetic of him being so far out of the net is damning. And so I just think that my big takeaway was that if the Oilers aren't going to put Stu in a position to succeed, Stu has to do a better job at putting himself in a position to succeed, and none of that is happening so far.
Since I noted you using a fallacy, I'll even the playing field and do the same thing. So no one's any better than the other. If Stuart Skinner allowed the first goal to Corey Perry that Aiden Hill allowed, what would the reaction be?
I don't even remember what that looked like.
The sky would be falling. And this is what happens when there's questions about a goaltender, though. This would happen in Boston oddly enough, with Tuukka Rask, where if there was a question about the goaltending going in, even if it was a dumb question that the media made up, every goal that's allowed, the story becomes, is that a good goal? Should he have allowed that
Right,
goal?
yeah.
And Devin Dubnyk has said this with the Oilers Nation guys. He was like, you have to remember that goal scorers score goals.
Right.
Like, usually the goal is scored because the person with the puck did something good. And in the case of the first goal that Adin Hill allowed, in which like Perry kind of took him for a ride and waited him out, if you don't like Adin Hill, you kill him for that. However, that was a smart play by Corey Perry.
Same thing happens with the Jets towards the end of that first round series, and then at the beginning of this series, when Connor Hellebuck is struggling. After every goal that's scored, there's could Connor Hellebuck been in a better position to make this save? Does this fall on Connor Hellebuck? And we've seen that kind of die off a little bit because Hellebuck's sort of locked it in a tiny bit. But yeah, you're right. Like when a goalie is struggling, there's so much more emphasis put on, well, is this the goalie's fault?
And that's what I worry about with him, though. He looks like he has no confidence. And maybe that could just be that he hadn't played in a while and he was out of sorts and he gave up a kind of shaky one. And yes, requisite, he made saves in the third period that kept him in the game. But I didn't feel good about it. I felt the same way about him that I felt about Pickard through the first 2 periods of game 1, where like 5 minutes or like 10 minutes into the game, I tweeted, the Oilers need to legitimately not allow the Golden Knights to have a shot on goal. And the Oilers then spent the next like 30 minutes not allowing a shot on goal. That's how I felt about Stu in that game, where like I root for him. He's my goalie. I'm always going to defend him. I got the shirt on right now, but I'm fucking horrified. And I think the guys playing in front of him are horrified, which is not a good recipe. I am just waiting for what they did in front of Pickard, which is like, guys, we need to fucking bail this guy out by not making him part of the game at all. I need them to do that with Stu at some point. And at some point, maybe Stu can be what he was, let's say 2/3 of what he was down the stretch in the postseason last year, which he was a .914 save percentage after he came back from his benching in the second round against the Canucks. If he can be, seriously, if he can be the .896 he was in the regular season, they're fine.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know if it's coming.
Overall, how nervous are you heading into game 4?
I go back and forth. It really fucks me up. Not just that shit ended the way that it did in game 3, but that they had a 2-0 lead in that game, blew it.
It's like the anti-Oilers.
Welcome to how the rest of the world feels.
Yeah, right.
But that rattled me because there were no questions coming out of that if they didn't lose that. But instead, it's, fuck, can they win with Stu? My honest answer is, I don't know.
Exactly. That should be your exact answer.
And I'm a little worried about Leon, which he's only 3rd in the NHL in points in the postseason. He's only been the best offensive player in this series, but not all not rights are equal.
Yeah, right.
And he kind of looks not right to me right now, and that fucking scares me.
I mean,
and if they're up 3-0 as we're asking that question, I'm like, close it out at home, get the boys some rest, at home back next round, championship.
And we both arrived at that
independently,
that sort of conclusion independently, where a couple times in game 3, I was like, that doesn't look good for Leon. There was a couple opportunities where if he's right, he could have had a couple goals in that game. The first period, he rang the crossbar on a shot that he usually buries. And then in the third period, where they had an opportunity to take the lead late in the game, he was in his office. He teed one up and hit the side of the net. And I was like, he's got to be hurt.
We all silly like the mayor.